right now, though. PJ is standing by in PJ's mom's basement. Of course, PJ's been keeping us up to date on all the fantasy figures throughout the. What do you got working over there, PJ? How are we doing? You okay? Is Mom okay?
Mom's okay. For the first time in our household last night, we were Patriots fans.
Yeah.
And
First time I ever rooted for the Patriots was last night.
Yeah.
It was hard.
You and a lot of other Colts fans.
Exactly. Hard to get through, but we live to fight another day, and that's what matters. So we're good. Happy Hanukkah. Happy last day of Hanukkah. Happy, 8th craziest night, as if yesterday wasn't crazy enough.
Was crazy enough for us.
I thought so. Yeah, those fantasy figures, it's playoff time. A lot of leagues started last week. Many leagues get into it this week to get down to that championship game, so critical decisions to be made. Number one on the list, it just feels like there are so many more injuries this year. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Something in the water? I don't know.
Well, the big one obviously yesterday, Andy Dalton. And
Yes.
A lot of people wrote him throughout the course of the season. Now they got some decisions to make, don't they?
Yeah, A.J. McCarron looked good. He's a completely capable quarterback. A lot of the mistakes he made was timing, right? You just got to get some reps in. But, it appears that Dalton could be done for the rest of this year.
Yeah.
So, Mr.
Crazy.
McCarron.
Right? Reports said he's going to be out a week for sure, I guess. Yeah. A week for sure. And then it was maybe the regular season. And now possibly, the entire season. And a team that went from beginning of Sunday morning, number one in the AFC to now number 3 in the AFC without their starting quarterback. It's a bad day.
Yeah, and Steelers fans were posting what they're calling Daltoning, holding your arm up in the air all day, which is horrible. But anywho,
that's the team to watch out for, though. The Pittsburgh Steelers. If they got Denver this coming week, and if they win that game, they're 8-5 right now. They get in the playoffs. They are a dangerous team.
I was going to say if there's a team out there that can really go toe-to-toe with the Patriots, it might be the Steelers.
Yeah, and I think the Steelers and the Kansas City Chiefs right now are playing the best football in the NFL. Right. And that's what you want to do right now is play your best at the end of December heading into the playoffs.
A lot of weapons on both of those teams. So A.J. McCarron's your pickup in the quarterback position. Moving on to the running back position, Mr. Timothy Antonio Yeldon Jr., also known as T.J. Yeldon. He obviously went down yesterday during the Colts game, but his replacement, Denard Robinson, solid game.
Yeah.
He's probably a safe bet for next week, too, just depending on the Yeldon injury, but plenty of value there. Again, you're in the playoffs. You need to make these decisions on the fly if you got somebody who's not performing. A couple receivers for you, too, to look out for. Tyler Lockett, young guy out of Seattle, just had a fantastic game yesterday, really clicking with Russell Wilson. And that offense seems to have found its stride a little bit in the passing game, so you can expect a little bit more out of him. Keyshawn Martin, Patriots receiver last night, he showed up quite a bit. He dropped less balls than Brandon LaFell anyway, so he looks like a solid pick. He's a punt returner too, so you might get some bonus out of that. Finally, if you're really desperate, I hate to say this because he does have his faults, but Mr. Ted Ginn Jr., Carolina, man, crazy deep threat, that guy. Would he have 2 receptions for 100-something yards and 2 touchdowns? It just, he's going to be boom or bust, but he's a solid pickup for you when you need a flex or a third wide receiver option.
This is playoff time too, right?
Well,
yes.
I have a question. In the playoffs, you still could change your roster. It's not like set.
Yes, sir.
Just in case of an injury or something like that?
Yeah, you got to be able to move around.
Anything goes, baby.
Yeah, and you got those bench players too. A lot of people save up guys, like a Ted Ginn. He's on some league teams, not an overwhelming majority, less than 40%. But he's one of those guys you just kind of plug and play when you feel like it. Now might be a good time.
Yeah. Not that I'm going to have you do my bidding, PJ, but here's my dilemma in my fantasy team, and I don't want to bore people here, but a lot of people had Thomas Rawls, the running back for Seattle, me included. So he's done now for the season. Broken ankle, I believe, was what he suffered in the first half yesterday. Yes. Okay, so you need a running back. You don't have to answer now. If you want to do some research during the show and get back to me, you can. But who do you get? Who's still available out there? Who's healthy enough that's going to get 20, 25 carries in a game?
Well, at this point in the year, really tough to hone in on anybody just because of all those moving parts and pieces. A guy who impressed yesterday was Tim Hightower, Saints running back. He's actually second string, I think, behind C.J. Spiller.
Right.
But they just do so much offensively, and he's involved in different sets and packages. Passing game there is pretty heavy. You end up getting those receiving benefits from a guy like that. Denard Robinson, again, as mentioned, he's a good pickup from the Jags because he's not on a lot of rosters, especially most Jaguars are not on rosters.
But if Yeldon's playing, though, Robinson's not. He's only going to get maybe 5-7 touches.
Well, I mean, that's what I mean. It's so slim pickings
Yeah.
right now. I mean, even with Spencer Ware went down yesterday for the Chiefs. It's really tough to hone in on people that aren't already locked up and on rosters and are performing. So you got to kind of risk things like that to try and fill in that slot. I'll look up a couple more for you, though. Check in with me later.
So here's my question. I do have Frank
yes.
Gore on my team, who I've benched lately. So is that probably the best option at this point, maybe?
I wouldn't do Frank.
I'm slowing down the show, aren't I?
Sorry,
Even
Frank.
Sorgy's over here like, okay, move on.
I would pass on Frank.
You look at Frank.
You
first-
pass on Frank, really?
I would pass on Frank. The Texans showed they were pretty okay against the run last night. Not that the Patriots are a stellar running team at this point, but I would watch out for Frank.
Okay.
I mean, Frank had 12 carries for 48 yards in the first half yesterday, and then
Well, you got to start chucking the ball in the second half, and
Yeah.
you're just, all of a sudden. But I'll tell you what, I was surprised by how much Tipton was in there.
Tipton made some big plays in the passing game.
That won the third down, especially. He was wide open on that third down play. I think it was the first quarter.
Yeah, it was blitz protection, and what some defenses do is they'll bring more guys, expecting you to keep guys into block, normally the running backs, and in blitz protection, you're free releasing the running back. So at that point, if the guy that would normally the running back would be responsible for comes, the running back's your hot route, and he ran a little wheel route, was wide open. It was a big catch, but he had like two or three of them in that game that went for big yardages and first downs.
All right, PJ, stand by. We'll get back to you. And of course, quick reminder, we're still giving away that iPad mini, right? So the trivia question's coming up.
Yes, sir.
All right, stand by. PJ back in PJ's mom's basement. I'm surprised they're not, all dressed up for Christmas there in the basement.
We'll get there. We got to get through Hanukkah first.
Get through
and
Hanukkah
then we'll set up for
first.
Christmas. That sounds
all
good?
inclusive. I
That's
like
right.
that. Thank
We're
you,
a
PJ.
multicultural family.